Hey there, my name is Jeremy Siskind. I've written this book, which is called Playing Solo Jazz Piano. And if you've read this book, you know that I love stride piano. There's 4 whole chapters in here about stride. Let's see what they're called. There's stride basics, variants of stride piano, playing stride piano, and advanced stride techniques. And today I want to give you just a little window into what's in some of those 4 chapters and how to improve your stride piano playing. So if you don't know, stride piano is this technique where you're basically jumping back and forth between a bass note and a chord. That's a famous stride tune called Ain't Misbehavin' by Waller. So you can see it's a difficult style because your left hand's kind of doing this somewhat virtuosic thing while your right hand has to keep the melody, improvise, do some arpeggios, who knows. So my first secret of stride piano maybe isn't that much of a secret, but it's that you need to take breaks, especially if you're playing at a fast tempo. I don't care who you are, I don't care how good you are. If you're constantly moving back and forth as fast as you can, it's gonna get exhausting. So what do we do to take breaks? The first is literally a break. And you hear this all the time when you listen to the stride breaks, that their left hand will pause very intentionally, and the right hand usually will play some kind of a cascading arpeggio down the piano. Oftentimes, I'm not that good of a pianist, so I'll have my left hand help out on the cascading thing so that my right hand doesn't have to do all that fancy crossing over. But you know, if I'm playing Ain't Misbehavin', that's more breaks than I would usually put in, but you hear those breaks, those are very typical of the stride style. A second thing that you might do is what we call walking tenths. Sometimes in a faster tempo it will just be octaves, but it's basically playing a walking bass line in your pinky while you play a tenth above that in your thumb. And usually people do this for 2 or 4 beats at a time, so it's not always. But instead we get. This is so sloppy, I'm sorry. Now, I know what 75% of you are thinking right now, which is I can't reach a tenth. And I'll be honest, I have maybe slightly bigger hands than most. They're nothing nuts. Certainly not as big as a lot of the jazz greats. And I can reach some of my tenths. I can reach my white key tenths or my black key to black key. But when it comes to reaching D flat to F, I can't really do it in context. I can get there. Same thing, this piece is in B. I can't really reach B flat to D. So what do? The biggest thing you do is, do you hear that? The pinky's coming just a little bit before the thumb, and I'm pedaling that. So you don't have to be able to reach those tenths. And I always recommend, first of all, try practicing your whole tune walking tenths. I just had a lesson with a student, we were talking and it's actually fun because you can actually get some harmonic passing chord ideas from the tenths. For example, you know, if I'm going I start hearing these little kind of other progressions that I can make in there. So as you play your tenths, sense. Don't just say, okay, I'm just going to harmonize my bass note with whatever I possibly can. But you can actually use those as little passing tones. So you want to integrate those into your stride pattern so you're not constantly having to leap up and down all the time. Now, another way that we take breaks brings us kind of to secret number 2, if we want to call that, which is adding variety to your stride playing. And we've already talked about those walking tenths can add variety, but 2 other ways to add variety are by changing the rhythm and by changing the stride pattern. Okay, and here's what I mean. So let's talk first about the stride pattern, because that's going to help you save energy a little bit more. So stride pattern means instead of going low, high, maybe you'll change it. So you'll go high, low, or maybe, and this is a common one that I want to talk about a little bit, you'll go low, high, low. This is what I call the piece pattern, named after the Bill Evans tune, which does this again and again. It's called the piece, and it goes low, high. So that when I get to the bridge of Ain't Misbehavin', if I want a little contrast, if I want a little variety, instead of just going right, I can go, and it's so much more relaxing. I get a little second to pause. So I get to rest my hand and my arm a little bit. So that's the piece pattern. Another popular one, I think I kind of accidentally went in there for a second, is what I call 3 plus 3 plus 2, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So by changing that stride pattern, especially in a bridge of a tune, that can really make your life a little easier. It can allow you some points to take a little bit of a break. Another great way to add some variety is adding variety in the rhythm. And this is one way to make kind of more modern sounding stride. Right now, I chose Ain't Misbehavin' as a very kind of old-fashioned sounding piece. But if I want to sound a little bit more kind of hip, I guess, not that Ain't Misbehavin's not hip. Ain't Misbehavin', of course, is hip, but I'll put the chord a little bit earlier. So now I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. The opposite of that is you could anticipate the bass. Demonstrating. Let me just do the left hand. 3, 4. There we go. Or what's the most fun for me is you can anticipate both. So instead of playing on the beat, 2, 3, 4. Fun to play around. You heard me doing a little bit of all 3 there, and even changing it in the middle, I think it works beautifully. One of my favorite tricks, and I do use this sometimes in real playing, but it's also just good practice, is to practice stride in 3 while I play in 4. So I'll go bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, chord. It's still quarter notes. I'm creating this 3 against 4 kind of feeling. that's kind of fun to play around with. Or you can do fives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. All right. Another way to create variety, and let's go to our third secret of stride piano, is in the pedaling. Pedaling in stride piano fascinates me, and I count 4 principal ways to pedal, and it doesn't mean that you have to choose one and go with it. I think a lot of the greats kind of mix between these styles. So first pedaling option, no pedal at all. When monks play stride piano, I generally don't hear them use any pedal, no matter what the tempo, which is very unusual. Very dry, gotta be really precise. Second option, pedal all 4 beats. I didn't do it. I said I would. There it is. Very active foot. Option number 3, pedal from the downbeat to the offbeat. And this has kind of a boom chuck effect. To the downbeat. And this always sounds like a kind of New Orleans-y thing to me. See what you think. Kind of interesting. Yeah, one of my favorite recordings is Hank Jones live at Maybach, and he's got all this stride in there. In which it seems like he mixes it up, bar to bar, beat to beat, which style of pedaling he's doing. And it creates this other layer of syncopation, which I think is really neat. But I recommend that you try to master all of those different kinds of pedalings, because they each, as you can hear, present a very different version of the song. So that's kind of fun. So I guess, what did I say? That's your third secret of stride piano. Secret number 4 is that stride is really different at different tempos. So I can play stride as a ballad, in which case I'm going to play really big chords. Right, so I'm playing 3-note, maybe even a 4-note chord, 5-note, 4-note chord up here. Right, 4 notes. Here's the piece variation. If I wanted to play a mid-tempo version of that, I'm probably going to go down to maybe just 2 notes, like a 10th or a 7th in the left hand. First of all, I'd hire somebody else, because that's not what I really do. But I've heard, the great stride players, even the great stride players, go down to, maybe just 1 note. Kind of, you're making a 3-note chord between. hard, man. It's really hard. I don't recommend trying it. But the faster you get, the simpler you want to play, and certainly more than anything, the fewer notes you want to play, especially in the bottom. You're always going to play 2, 3, 4 notes in the chord. That doesn't make that much of a difference. It's more, are you going to go for a 10th down here? I just can't get there that fast. So you can go for an octave, maybe a 6th or a 5th, or just a single note. Which brings us, I think, to some elements of technique. And this will be our 5th secret of stride piano. I have a whole plan here, but I just completely went rogue. I'll remind you one more time while I'm doing this. I love it when people buy my book from my website. I can ship this very copy to you, signed, if you order it from my website. But the first big thing about technique is that stride has to be about feel rather than sight. If you really have to look at your hand, you're never going to be a very good stride pianist. So here's the test. Got a blindfold. It's a sleep mask. It's from the last time that I flew on a plane, which was before the pandemic. But let's see. Yeah, I still got it. Test yourself, and I bet you're already better than you think. I know that seems scary to be able to find these chords, without looking. But many of you have played the piano long enough. Yeah, that you can grab those, and it's really kind of fun. One trick, which I was not using right there, but I could use, is that I'm often, and this is one of your advantages to playing big chords in the left, is that I'm often trading off between my thumb and my pinky. Right, my pinky is going for the chords right where my thumb left. It makes sense because my thumb, if I'm doing a 10th, that's the 3rd of the chord. So of course, you want that in your chord. So this is a nice way to keep track of where you are without necessarily having to use your eyesight. You can really rely on your touch here. So I'm told. Okay, so that's your 5th secret. Your 6th secret is about technique in a slightly different way, which is that when I see beginning stride players who really want to do it but aren't that experienced, what I see is they're moving their arm back and forth a lot, right? And I'm already exhausted just from demonstrating this, So instead, what I recommend is if you set up your arm and elbow kind of midway in between the chord and the bass, you can get there by more of kind of a swivel motion. So this is kind of an exaggeration, but I'm moving from here instead of from here. And that's what I want you to really grasp. So that as you watch me play, you can see that my arm and elbow are moving a little bit, but it's not, it's not this extreme movement. One really great way to practice, because it really forces you to use kind of your correct muscles, is to add 1 or even 2 octaves in between your bass and your chord. So instead of going from here to here, try going up to here. And one of the things you'll discover is that you actually have plenty of time to move. It's not the movement, it's just the precision that's difficult. I don't really think this is more difficult. Let's go up here, let's see if I can do it. Oof, that's a reach. Now I gotta get in the right position on the bench, become a good pianist. So this is great target practice, and it teaches you to shorten up your movement so that when you go back to doing this, first of all, I'm sitting on the bench so much better. And that just feels And then I think this is my last secret of stride piano. These aren't secrets, that's just a complete marketing ploy. But the last thing is that the right hand can and should help. And it helps a little bit differently at different tempos. If I'm playing Ain't Misbehavin', I'm not just going to play. You know, of course, in a sense, the division is that the chords are in the left and the melody's in the right, but it feels empty, so I might play. Stay active, and it's especially important because in stride the left hand is not at all syncopated, right? The left hand is literally playing a downbeat, unless you're using one of the kind of variations that I showed you earlier. So the left hand's just chilling on the downbeats. So the right hand's got to provide all the rhythmic information. You know, sometimes you get these students who buy the sheet music to something, or they're reading off the real book, and the real book probably says the melody for the bridge is corner, like Jack Horner, at the corner, what do I care? So it's wait, you gotta add both some chords and some syncopation. And there is all this kind of ragtimey kind of hand, I call it figuration, that you can do, you know. Just amounts to taking your chord, your hand position, and doing it as an arpeggio. My personal favorite, just by the way, there's this bassy thing that he does. So I have like an octave on the outside, and then I'm just moving a third up and down. That's kind of fun. What was I saying? So the right hand, at a fast tempo, you're going to fill in the chord, and you're going to add syncopation and maybe some figuration to keep the rhythm really lively. At a slower tempo, my right hand is kind of completing the chord a lot. So if I'm playing... together a new chord every quarter note. So you can see that both my hands are just reaching towards the center. I'm doing that so often in solo piano. I didn't realize it until I started teaching it. I was like, oh yeah, my thumbs are just like always reaching towards middle C, towards middle C. See, like here, I'm playing that and I really can't reach it. It's a 11th. I have no shot of reaching 11th. Right? So I just strum it. Tuplet thing I'm working on. But yeah, at a slow tempo, especially with the pedal. These 2 or 3 fingers of my right hand are always reaching over, playing a chord, basically every quarter note to complement and fill out and complete the left hand chord. Those are my secrets to stride piano. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out my book. There's a lot more about stride piano and a lot of other solo jazz piano styles. Like and subscribe, support this channel so I can keep it going, and I'll see you later for some more secrets.